Hey guys, it's e-bike review day and I've got a really fancy one for you today. This is the Pivot Shuttle LT. Now if you've been watching my channel a while, you know I did review the Pivot Shuttle, the older version, and I really did enjoy that bike, so I'm hoping for the same for this one. Now, I'm going to say something, it may offend some, hopefully not, but the previous Pivot Shuttle was a 140 travel bike. Now 140 says to me, that says trail bike. 150 on the other hand says enduro bike. It's only 10 millimeters, it's a very small amount, but you've got to draw a line in the sand somewhere. And so 140, however, this is 160 at the rear, 170 at the front. So this is a proper sort of long travel bike, which is where the LT comes in. So suspension, it's got some pretty swanky suspension. It's got the factory Fox 38s up the front, and again factory Fox Float X at the rear. So it's got some pretty high-end suspension. It's got some pretty high-end everything, to be honest. It's got XTR drivetrain, XTR brakes. Actually, it's got, this is a new one on me, it's got Galfa rotors. I hope I've got that right. A 223 up front and a 203 at the back. So some big rotors, some powerful brakes should be able to stop. Some DT Swiss wheels, Fox transfer dropper post, Shimano EP8. I guess that's been around for a while. I guess we're waiting for the new model to come out. I must admit the display to me these days, it feels a little bit dated, but I guess it is what it is. It's still a good reliable motor. Does however come with a 756, hope I got that right, watt hour battery, and so it's got a bigger battery. It's nicely integrated into the frame. You can actually get the battery out relatively easy if you do want to charge or travel or do something and you want to take the battery out, so you don't have to drop the motor out or anything like that. What do we think of the looks of the bike? Well, I do like the look of the bike. I think it's a lot more refined, I think, than the older model. The colour, the green, yeah, I'm not so keen on the green, to be fair. It does come in a blue though, and I must admit, if I was buying this bike, I'd definitely go for the blue. You may find this a little bit hard to believe, but quite a few people have said to me that my taste in colour is very old-fashioned. Old-fashioned me, hard to believe. Some people, you may like the green. It's not bad. Anyway, we're now rambling about colours. So let's take this thing out to Woodhill and give it a bit of a shred and see what we think. So I'll meet you out there. Now, whenever we come to Woodhill, we always start with this. So I'm not sure if it's a good idea to do a jump track for the very first run. But anyway, let's give it a go. Oh, she's poppy. Should we try the big one this time? Yep, pretty plush. It's a little bit slow off of that. And too slow off that. Oh, it still made it though. Right, a little bit of a hip. It's nice. Little jump. Bit of pumping. Whoa, she goes really long. Really long. Oh, nearly flat landed that one. Whoa, hey. Having fun so far. Woohoo! Excellent. Liking it. Liking it a lot. Alrighty, we're going to try a bit of fault line, and I guess the ultimate test for this bike is can I keep up with Zach? Oh, it's kind of a techie track, this one, bit of a mixture, some tree roots, oh, a bit of a puddle, some mud. Oh, I haven't seen that before. Trees keep falling down in all these storms, they keep making features out of it. One thing you do notice this bike is to say, and we were trying to work it out, this bike's got a similar spec to mine in some ways, but it's about 3 kgs lighter, and you think, where does that 3 kgs come from? Okay, I'm gonna have to concentrate because I'm losing them. Oh, that's not the line. So yeah, you do feel that it is a bit more lighter and playful, and the suspension on this is really phenomenal, I must admit. Really like the rear shock, and well, okay, woo! It's actually quite hard to do, whoa, it's a huck to nothing, meaningful commentary and try and keep up with someone. I think we're going to pull it off though. Woo. Anyway, oh yeah,
on the tech, I'm actually enjoying it. Well, to be fair, I'm enjoying it on everything. I might not give it back actually. That was fun.
Nice.
Alright, so this track I guess would describe as tech flow, I guess. Probably I think it's a grade 3 or something like that. So this bike's pretty highly spec'd. As you say, XDR drivetrain. I guess it's pretty new, having no issues with that of course. And brakes likewise, got the big old rotor on the front, and XDR brakes again performing brilliantly. I guess you'd expect that on a new bike. I've got XDRs on my bikes, so quite used to how they handle, although don't have as big a rotors as these ones. They look pretty badass, I must say. This bike seems to roll quite nicely, other than I didn't do a very good line there. Oh, bit of slop. Oh, where does this go? Oh yeah, that's fun. Really enjoying riding this bike though. It does, as you say, feels very playful and fast rolling. I'm quite lucky that I get given a few of these bikes to play on, and most of them pretty good at adapting, but some of them they just fit me lovely. And this one, I think the reach is about perfect for me, and yeah, it just feels very natural for me. Oh, that's a terrible line. Can't talk and ride. It's actually got a 175 dropper on this bike. When I first looked at it, I thought it was shorter, but I actually got a tape measure and measured it, but it is a 175, and so it means you can get the seat well out the way, which I like. Hop. Certainly drops down quite a lot more if you are significantly shorter than me though. I'd suggest probably if you were significantly taller than me, well that makes sense, you'd go to the large. I'm quite lucky as well in the mediums and larges. I tend to be right on the border, so I can ride both quite happily.
Okay, I'm back from my ride at Woodhill, and I had a great fun riding with the boys. Was hoping to do a little bit more filming for you, but to be honest, we're just having so much fun that we never really got round to it. This bike is supposed to be about 22 kgs, which for a big battery, long travel bike, I think is pretty impressive. It's certainly lighter than my own bike, and I must admit I have sort of been scratching my head a little bit to try and work out where the weight saving is. But it certainly was playful. Now some of you may be saying, Lance, we didn't see you drop it off at Aviator or Barrel Run or any of the big scary stuff, and I was tempted. The bike felt good to me. The reach on this is 468, 64 degree head angle in the low setting, which is, it's got a flip chip, so it's on the low setting. It felt really, really good to me. And the suspension was active and playful. I really, really wanted to, but the thing is, when I got this bike, they sent it to me and they got me to fill out a form. And on it was the whole, you know, you take liability for this and credit card number, and I was starting to get a little bit nervous. So I decided to be a little bit sensible. I thought, well, if I wrap this over one of those big wooden features and I break the frame, I'm probably going to end up having to sacrifice a kidney to pay for it. So I'm almost tempted to go out this afternoon and just send it. But anyway, I need to get this video finished because they are coming to pick the bike up tomorrow. Okay, so what are other little features about the bike? I like some of the finer touches on this bike actually. In terms of things like frame protection on the chainstays. Now a lot of the time, this never seems complete. It always seems a little bit small, but they've got it here, 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 and even more impressed is that you see a lot of these bikes, and this gap down here, there's a gap there, stones, rocks, mud, everything gets down in there, and people put little mud guards and bits of plastic and foam and rubber to try and prevent that from happening. And if you're spending a lot of money on a bike, you shouldn't have to do that. And Pivot obviously feels the same, because they made a perfectly little piece of rubber thing that completely blocks that off from stuff going down there. So Pivot, I'm impressed with that. Also has some protection underneath the frame here as well. You do worry, well, I worry anyway, a little bit about rocks and things hitting the carbon, and if you ride like me, actually hitting logs and things. But it does have a bit of protection under there, so hopefully that should be fine. It's got some clear coat underneath there as well, just for the smaller stone chips. I guess in terms of, if I want to be picky, is there anything that I'm not so impressed with? And not really, other than sometimes on these cables, it's got cables running across here on both sides, and to me, it seems a little bit crude, really. I guess it's always a way up, really. You could have the cables perfectly internally routed and you're hard to see, but then sometimes doing maintenance, changing cables becomes really difficult. But yeah, it's just for a real high-end bike. That's just me being picky anyway. All right, I reckon a bike like this needs more than just a lap round Woodhill. So I'm going to take it out to a place called Maraetai, which is on the east coast of Auckland. It's wet, it's always wet. Wet and slippery, so it'll be a good test for it. So anyway, we'll meet you out that way.
All right, well, I guess we better do a bit of a climb. As you know in my videos, I don't really bother too much about the climbing side of things, but every bike you've got to get back up the hill to do the downhill runs. I've done quite a few climbs on this now. It climbs very nicely. I haven't bothered to lock the shock out at all on the rear. I just haven't felt the need to do that. We're at Maraetai here. It's a little bit slippery with this clay, but seems to be getting pretty good traction. I haven't had any real issues. You can see it's a bit washed out and technical. Shimano EP8, not the world's most powerful motor. You may have seen one of my videos where it didn't come out top, that's for sure. But it really, saying that I've got it in boost, certainly plenty of power to get it up this hill, no problem at all. So yeah, in terms of climbing, yeah, it's a pretty good bike for climbing. Got no issues at all in terms of getting it up. Steep, big puddle, steep, well it's not that steep, but sort of technical, slippery climb. All right, how about that for a view? Not bad. Okay, we're going to do a trail called Bionic Wasp here at Maraetai. This goes into native bush, so that'll be good old New Zealand native bush in wet conditions. Could be interesting. But again, oh, bit of a test. Okay, so this thing's a full 29er, and I must admit I've been riding all sorts of, well, mostly mullets or 29ers, and it's always hard to know which I prefer. I think the 29er definitely rolls faster, and the mullet probably is more manoeuvrable, but there's so many other factors. Whoa, she's a bit slippery. Whee! So many other factors involved in handling. Obviously, you've got tyre choice, and then you've got wheelbase and reach and all those sort of things. But in terms of this bike, as I say, full 29er, certainly no issues in terms of handling it all anyway. And I guess probably, as you say, it's a medium again, which I guess is, for me, probably about perfect. Whoa, I'm gonna have to concentrate a little bit. It's actually quite slippery. Yeah, big drift. Woo. All right, might have to think a bit about this. Been a few slips, endless storm damage here in Auckland. Seem to roll from one cyclone to storm to flood. Ooh, okay, where are we going? Where are we going? I think I got lost on it. The track's there. Whoa! Track's there. Hey! Not sure if this was a good idea or not, but it's actually quite good fun. Okay. Oh, what do we think? Oh, it'll probably be fine. Okay, never tried this in wet conditions. Oh shit! Whoa, that was a bad idea. Whoa. The back ended up skating as we went off the ramp, and I was planning on jumping that, but anyway, we got there. Okay, it's great fun sliding around on slippery tree roots, but out at Maraetai there's this cool little jump track, and yeah, really wanted to try this on here. Woo-hoo! Oh, whoa! I think I overjumped there, and that. Whoa! This thing is poppy. All right, 10 more laps of that, eh? That's one of the cool things about e-bikes. you just session it straight back up there, another lap.
Okay, so I was trying to talk to you about mullets and 29ers, but to be honest, the track was keeping me a little bit busy. It was slippery, we'd had storm water come through there, I could hardly work out what the track was in places, and so I was trying to concentrate on ride and have an intelligent conversation with you at the same time, which I'm not sure I pulled off. But anyway, 29er mullet, you can actually convert this to a mullet if you really want to. It does have a flip chip, and I talked to the guy from Pivot and he said, to be honest, you'd run this in the low setting unless you probably wanted to mullet, and then you put it in the high setting if you wanted to make it a mullet. There's definitely pros and cons to both. The only thing I would say I find with 29ers, and I did do with this one, and I'm still a little bit sour on it, is that when I was doing the jumps, I tend to buzz the tyre on my pants. And on this one, I actually managed to put a hole in my pants, and so you're a little bit gutted about that. I do wonder, it's a bit like I'm probably losing track here, but cranks. I didn't do a single pedal strike on this bike. And you may have noticed some of the bikes I reviewed, you keep whacking the pedal in the ground, but I didn't do any pedal strikes on this bike. But however, you get quickly used to a bike, and so you stop hitting your pedals on the ground once you get used to it. And I do wonder if I rode a 29er all the time, whether I would stop buzzing my pants on the rear wheel, or whether I'm just too thick to learn that and I just have to get reinforced pants. But most of the time, I must admit, in terms of handling, again, this is a perfect bike for me in terms of size. A lot of people in the videos ask how tall I am, so I'm about, I think, 176 centimeters and about 70 kilos. Maybe a bit more. But anyway, so this bike was a perfect size for me. It was in terms of the 29, it rolled really fast. Again, not huge tyres on this thing, so again, that helped with the rolling. To be fair, this bike has been tested out down in the South Island, and I think they've had the best of that rear tyre, so it was a little bit slippery on the back tyre in places. But overall, really, really loved this bike. In fact, the ultimate test, I think, for a bike, and I've thought about this a little bit, is that tomorrow, if I could go for a ride, would I take this bike out again, or would I take my own? And most of the bikes I review, as much as I enjoy reviewing bikes, I would choose my own. However, in this case, I think if I was going out tomorrow, I'd probably take this thing out again, because it is a lot of fun to ride, certainly. I would like to say one other thing as well, as we're finishing up. I'd like to personally thank every single one of you who has subscribed, supported the channel, left comments, thumbs up, like, and all those things over the years. Why? Well, the first time I reviewed the Pivot, I sent them an email. They're having a demo day, and I said, is there any chance, I could get the bike for a few hours and get to do a review on it the day before? And they agreed to that. This time, they come out with a new bike. They contact me, say, look, we'd love you to do a review, and they courier the bike to me for a week to ride. So the bigger the channel gets, the more opportunities I get to get hold of bikes, the more chance I get to do good reviews, and hopefully everybody wins. Well, I win anyway, but I'd like to thank you for that. So anyway, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd love it if you did that. We'll hopefully get some new bikes for you at some point, and we'll see you on the next one.